Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway and welcome back to a classic style running day, which I haven't done in a while, so I'm quite excited about getting back to this again. Now I didn't get a chance to talk to you last time because it was that short film about the Blitz and all the bombs going off and whatnot, so I hope you enjoyed that anyway. This is the follow-up to that video, which is all about war trains, and all I mean by that is it's going to be locomotives that you might have seen quite typically in either World War I or World War II. I've got a mixture of both, it's neither one nor the other, but still hopefully it should be an enjoyable running day, so we'll get started in just a moment. But first I'd like to say a massive thank you to Adi Pullen, who was very helpful to me when I said I wanted to do this video, and he actually found out about all the locos I have and told me, when these locos were built so that I could, choose whether or not to run them in this World War video. So a massive thank you to Adrian. So let's take a look then at the first loco we're going to run. And as you can see there, this one's already out on the layout. This is Stannier's 8F, and of course this is going to be a World War II locomotive, as it's quite late. She's pulling 2 coaches and then the rest is some freight tankers, and I thought I'd do that because it shows, presumably the shortage of coal and how they had to economise on the trains that they ran, so the mixing of passenger and freight. I don't know if that really happened, but I thought it would be a nice idea. So yep, Stannier's 8F, let's get her running, let's get her round to the front at least. And then after that we'll get her running again and I'll talk to you all about the loco. Alright, so let's give her a little bit of juice then, see how she does. This is a 280 in fact, so it's got quite a bit of pulling power. And nice and slow there, as you can see. Speed her up some. There we go. It's a gorgeous run of this one. She wasn't too good when I first got her in fact, but I serviced her up and oiled her and cleaned her up, and now she does run absolutely brilliantly. But that was a few years ago of course. Let's stop her there. And there you can see a good close look at her there. And she's a lovely little loco, isn't she? Especially due to the Woolshirts valve gear, which looks just lovely on her. So anyway, I think that's enough anyway of her sitting around. Let's get her going at a good freight speed, and I'll tell you all about her. Here we go. And it does look very unusual with the coaches and the freight. Alright, so we couldn't find the exact date of when this 8F was produced. That's mine, by the way, which is running number 48154. But they were built between 1935 and 1946. And they were designed by William Stanier, who designed them for heavy freight work. And they were in fact designed to be sent to France originally during the Second World War. But they ended up in the Middle East. But during the war though, examples were shipped to Iran, Egypt and even Palestine, and that meant that an awful lot of these locos were produced over that time. A total of 852 in fact, and of that massive number, 15 are preserved, 23 were lost at sea, and the rest were scrapped. So quite an interesting story behind the class. Please enjoy her for a second longer, and then we'll stop her and I'll introduce you to the second loco. Alright, well that'll do for the time being then. I'll bring her to a stop just for now. And while she's just waiting there, I'll go and show you the second loco we're going to run today. And this loco really is a wartime classic because it was actually produced mid-war, World War II that is. And of course it's the fantastic Class Q1 from the Southern Railway. This one's in BR and it's running number 33009. And this one's pulling some freight in fact. This has got the box cars and it's all freight this time, no passenger stock thrown in there. But still, it's an ugly but very powerful locomotive, and I'll just grab the point here so that I can get her going for you. We'll get her going straight away because you can see her pretty well there. So let's give her a little bit of juice then and get her out of that point. And I'll speed her up a bit as well now, very slightly. There she goes, and I'll shut the point. And here's a little bit of information about the Q1 then. So the Q1 then, as already mentioned, was produced mid-war, 1942, and they were designed really as austerity steam locomotives by Oliver Bulleid. As you'll know, it's a popular name from the Southern Railway. There were 40 of these locos produced from 1942 onwards, and only one has been preserved, which is running number C1, which was the first of the class. But as you can see, they're very, very business-like locomotives, not built for looks at all, but certainly for performance. And they were quite renowned as some of the most successful 060 steam locomotives ever produced in the UK. So enjoy her for a second longer, and we'll get the 8F up and running alongside her in a sec. Okay, let's get the 8F up and running once again then. So there she goes, and I'll get some footage of them both running together for you, and then I'll be back in a second to show you what else is coming. But still, two great runners here. The Q1, certainly ugly, but also very, very business-like and powerful, as I say. But they're both very good runners, and both from the World War II. So I'm going to leave the 8F running just for a second longer, because I'm going to have to take her off by hand because I haven't got a siding for her. But the Q1 is going back into the siding where she came from, so I'm going to slow her down now and stop her, and I'll just flick this point and we'll get her back in there. Alright, there we go, and I'll just stop her there then. And I'll shut the point and take the 8F off, and then we'll be ready to show you the next couple of locos. And so the third loco, as you can see there, is an A4, which were most certainly around during those war years. This one in particular is number 4469, and it's the Gunwale Locomotive. This one is particularly interesting when it comes to World War II, and I'll tell you why in just a second, but I'll show you what she's pulling. She's got some stone wagons, some animal wagons, and Kellogg's and McVitie's, and also on the back there a couple of passenger coaches from the LNER, which again helps to add to the disorder of wartime. So hopefully you'll enjoy seeing her, but for now let's give her a little whistle. I'm not going to put the sound on fully because it's a bit, well, you can't hear yourself think, but I will give her a whistle before she goes. So here we go. Well, first I've got to get the point, it's not going to work otherwise, so that, yeah, that's the point. Now for the whistle. There we go. And a little bit of forwards motion. Please, Gunwale. There we go. Gorgeous loco. And I'll reset this point, and I'll tell you a little bit about Gunwale and why she's so special when it comes to the war. Okay, so yes, the Class A4, first of all very famous for being the world's fastest steam locomotives, but with the example of Gunwale, she was built on the 30th of August 1938 as one of 35 A4s built to the design of Sir Nigel Gresley, of course. Now, Gunwale's particularly interesting because she was destroyed during World War II. In April 1942, there was a raid, a blitz, on York, and a bomb actually dropped through the shed roof at York's North Shed, which actually destroyed her and one other locomotive. Well, it didn't destroy her per se, it did badly damage her, but after they decided not to repair her, she was scrapped. And Gunwale also went by the other name Sir Ralph Wedgwood, I believe it was that name, and that was either before or after. I think Gunwale was the final name, and I think that's the name she had when she was destroyed, so yes. Enjoy her for a second longer then we'll stop her and introduce you to the next loco. Alright, let's make one more noise then, Gunwale. There we go. And we'll stop her just there then. Come on now. That wasn't very responsive. She was supposed to stop just past that signal box, but okay, that didn't work out too well. Never mind, never mind. Let's get the next loco up and running anyway. And this time it's the B12, which I think is an LNER locomotive, but pre-grouping it did have a few different railways to it. This is the northeastern one, of course, and the B12s were around during the First World War, but no doubt they were still around during the Second as well, so I'm not sure which one this one's modelled for, but it is in wartime black, which is particularly nice. She's going to be pulling some stone wagons, not too many of them because I thought it might be nice to do a shorter train, but of course you can't see all of those because they're hidden inside the engine shed partially, but that's not a problem, so let's get that point then, and we'll get her running for you. So yes, the B12, this one's number 7476, and she's a very, very nippy runner, this one is, but I've managed to get her going at a nice gentle freight speed anyway. These locos were built between 1911 and 1928, so a nice long production run there. They were originally designed by Mr. S.D. Holden, who designed and produced 81 of them, but over the years several were rebuilt into varying subclasses, which made, you know, all the sort of B12/13 or whatever it was. There was so many different types, but they were all based around Holden's original design. So enjoy her for a little bit while she trundles around for you, and then we'll get the A4 up and running again for you. Alright, so it seems silly to have Gunwale out and not use her sound, so I thought now for this running session I would use it. So here she goes. That's the sound. Let's have a whistle. And let's have her going a bit faster this time. Not too fast because I don't want to derail all the freight, but still, here she goes. So I suppose, yep, the NEB-12 in wartime black, probably a common sight during World War I at least. And there's Gunwale powering along there. Probably looking a bit better than she did in real life at the end of World War II. Alright, so I'm going to pop the B12 back into the siding where she came from then, so I'll just stop her behind there. There we go. And I'll grab that point. There she goes. Right, let's reverse her back into there then. There we go. Alright, so let's go and deal with Gunwale as well then. So let's get her to stop just behind that point then. If that's not too early. Nope, that's fine. Okay, and change it. And let's reverse her in. There we go. Slow and steady. There we go, stop her there. I'll turn the sound off while we're at it. And yep, let's show you the next couple of locos, which is the final two. Alright, so next up I've got a pair of 440s, and the first one is one that I reviewed not too long ago. This one's running number 708 in the southern black, sort of wartime black livery there. And it's the T9 of course, which is a gorgeous locomotive. And on the back of her she's got 4 southern coaches, which looks quite nice. There's no freight that's snuck onto that load this time, but still hopefully she'll look pretty good with those. So let's grab the points and let's give her a little bit of juice and get her out of there. So yes, the T9, a lovely 440, and in real life this particular locomotive was built on the 30th of June 1899 to the design of Dougall Drummond, who designed them originally for the LSWR. The T9s, 66 of them were built for express passenger work, and some of them were overhauled during the war, presumably the First World War, and those that were painted wartime black, which is exactly what's happened to this one presumably. And number 120 is the only one that's been preserved, and that's at the NRM. And I do find that these locos look particularly good for wartime stuff because they do look very businesslike, especially the tender. That water cart tender, of course, does look like it's been particularly designed for hard work. I don't know what it is about it, but yeah, cool. So yeah, that's the T9. Enjoy her for a little while longer, and then we'll start the final loco of the day. Alright, so I'll slow her down then and just pause her there while I go over to one of the sidings to show you the final loco today, and it's the second 440 I'm going to be running, so let's go and check it out. And there it is. This is Bachmann's train set, or train pack I should say, which is the World War I ambulance train, which comes with that city class locomotive, number 3711, and 3 of these ambulance coaches. In sort of like a southern green, but it can't be because it's a Great Western locomotive, but you know, so yeah, with the red crosses on them, you know, the medical cross. 40th ambulance train, and City of Birmingham that locomotive is. Lovely Great Western 440, and apparently quite a typical locomotive to be seen in the First World War. So let's get that point open then and give her a bit of a run. So yes, the City class, a very, very beautiful 440 locomotive. The class was built between 1903 and 1909 for the Great Western Railway by George Jackson Churchward, and he designed them without domes and with Belpaire fireboxes, making them very, very recognisable as the City class. The city of Truro, in fact, was reportedly one of the first, well, the first loco to exceed 100 miles per hour, allegedly, of course. And of 20 produced in total, that is the only one left, the Truro, City of Truro. So a very interesting class of locomotive again, very old-fashioned looking, and fantastic in that khaki brown livery, of course. And yep, enjoy her for a little bit longer, and then I'll start the T9 up again and have one final run. Alright, so let's get that T9 up and running again then for a final run. A little bit of juice, looking very nice with those coaches. A really lovely pair of locos, and you know, this is partly why I love 440s, because they're just so elegant, aren't they? Well everybody, that's going to about do it for today's running day. I really hoped you enjoyed seeing these locos. I've treated you to 6 today, which is more than normal, but it makes sense to do them in pairs. So if you did like the video, please remember to leave a like or even a comment if you'd like to, because it really is nice to hear what you guys think. And if you'd really like to get involved a bit more, you can visit the Facebook and Twitter pages too, at facebook.com/samstrains and twitter.com/samstrains. It would be lovely to see you on there, but for now guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers everyone.